Are you meeting your dog's daily mental and physical needs? Find out more in today's behavior chat. As you can imagine, most of the comments I get are, how do I stop my dog from doing this? Why is he doing that? How do I stop this? How do I stop that? Of course, I always try to address those behavioral issues, and we do need to address those behavioral issues. But if you're meeting your dog's mental and physical needs, it's going to be a lot easier for you and your dog to be able to get through his behavioral quirks. Today, I'm going to go over 7 items that I think every dog parent should be doing with their dogs. Just because I have a top 7 list doesn't mean that you can't do more with your dog, and it doesn't mean that everything on the list needs to be an hour long. You don't have to dedicate 7 hours to your dog in order to have a well-adjusted, well-behaved dog. But you do need to put in the time and effort, and remember, when you chose to bring that dog into your home, you promised to take good care of him and to provide him with everything that he needs. And his mental needs are no different than his nutritional needs. With most dog trainers, you'll see that they put a high value on physical exercise with your dog. And this is true. We want to make sure that our dog's getting appropriate physical exercise. We also want to make sure that we're not overdoing it. I also see a lot of people suggest lots of big runs with their dogs, which isn't going to be appropriate for every dog. Always speak with your dog's veterinarian before implementing any new physical activity for your dog to find out what he can do, what he shouldn't do, and for how long. Especially puppies, senior dogs, and dogs with physical limitations. These dogs tend to need their physical exercise a little more controlled, slow, and usually not too long. I also recommend, if you're trying to build up that relationship with your dog and having them listen to you and not their environment, this physical activity should involve you. So running around without you in his yard or running around in a doggy daycare, I don't think that's going to work on building your relationship with your dog. I don't think that's going to get him to listen to you more. I actually think it's going to be the reverse. I feel that it's going to make your dog more obsessed with other dogs and his environment and think you're kind of boring. So that physical activity can be a jog, it can be chasing a ball in your yard. You want to be careful of that stop and go action though, because that can be really hard on your dog's joints. You can have your dog chase you in the yard. That's really going to help build up your dog's desire to be with you, to think you're fun, and it's also going to help his come when called. Going for a leisurely walk around the neighborhood is a good idea, but not usually a good physical idea because we're just too darn slow. In an ideal world, I would say split that physical exercise up about 3 times a day. So even if that's 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 10 minutes. If you're not able to split it up, again, depending on your dog's physical ability, maybe a 30-minute stretch. But in that time, you want to make sure that he's actually getting a little downtime in that 30 minutes to rest, especially if you're getting that heart rate up. So if you're tossing the ball, toss, 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 getting that heart rate up after a few minutes, and then a quick little breather, letting him sniff around the yard, and then another toss. Number 2 is mental exercise. So underused by a lot of people. But if we get that mind going, we're going to really challenge our dogs. And challenging our dogs is a great way to kind of tire them out. If you've ever been to a workshop where you're thinking and learning a lot of new things, aren't you tired afterwards? You may have been sitting in the chair listening to the person speak, but your mind is exhausted and you just want to rest. That's like our dogs. If we're doing a lot of mental exercises and mental training games, they can be exhausted. If you can't get that physical exercise, especially if you have a dog with limited mobility, up the mental exercise for that dog. Or if it's icy outside and just below freezing, increase the mental stimulation. And once again, if this is something that you're doing with your dog, you're meeting that need of that connection. They want to be with us. They're human focused. Dogs want to do things that are fun and enjoyable. And if they think you are fun and enjoyable, they're going to want to be with you. Not the squirrels, not the neighboring dogs, but you. Part of your mental stimulation, dog training. You want your dog to sit. You want them to watch you and not the squirrel. You want them to come when called. Walk nicely on a leash. Mental exercises are also training exercises. So that leads us to number 3, training and prevention. Fun training games and tricks are a great way to have your dog pay attention to you when you're out at the park. If you're out trying to teach your dog to walk nicely on a leash, if all you're focused on is not pulling and you're not focused on getting your dog's attention and having him do other things like sit, spin, nose target, weave through your legs, circle around your body, watch you. Those are all behaviors that we can teach our dogs at home, and then we can use them when we're out and about to gain that attention. Puppies and new dogs, prevention. You don't want your dog afraid of thunderstorms or fireworks. You don't want them barking at strange noises. Work on a prevention program. Don't wait for it to happen. Like my book, Proactive Puppy Care, we don't want to wait for the behavioral problems to happen. We want to prevent them in the first place. And number 4, adventures. Go to new places. And it doesn't have to be far away trips. Go to a new park. Go to the same park, but go to a different trail. Put your dog in your car and go down to the next block. Take your dog to an indoor dog-friendly store or a pet store that they're allowed to be in. Make things new and novel and exciting so your dog's well adjusted. He gets to be out and about and check out new environments, new smells. If you've been practicing training lessons, you'll be able to use those out in public. If you want your dog to listen to you in new environments or when things are challenging, you have to get him out regularly so that it's not so new and novel that he can't deal with it. If you take him to new places on a regular basis, it's just going to be like everything else. He'll want to do new sniffs and smells, but it's not going to be as hard to get his attention back on you. And let him sniff. You want him to be able to sniff. Dogs see the world through their nose, not their eyes, their nose. So don't deny him his true passion. Give him an opportunity to use that sniffer. So that's number 5, sniffing. Just let him sniff. That doesn't mean that you should let him drag you around. Do some nice walking, get some attention, and then tell him, go sniffy sniff. At first, you're going to probably have to encourage him and kind of touch the ground and say, oh, look it over here, sniffy sniff over there. And for me, sniffy sniff means my dog is going to be able to go where it is that he wants to go. I'm going to follow along, engage with him, say, wow, that's pretty cool. What did you get over there? I am going to make sure that he's safe, so I'm not going to let him run into the street or rush up to some stranger. If I need to redirect him, I'm just going to point somewhere else. Oh, check this out over here. So that he goes over there and smells that instead of rushing into the street. When I feel that he's had enough sniffing, I'll just go, hey, Dexter, let's watch me. And we'll get a little attention, and then we go on to our walk. And then as he's being good and paying attention, maybe we do a couple of sits, maybe he does a couple of other behaviors that I've asked of him, and then his reward, go sniffy sniff. So I incorporate sniffing throughout our adventures. This is especially helpful if your dog is unsure about new environments. Just let him sniff. Give him that opportunity. Say, let's go sniffy sniff, and then follow him along. Again, keep him safe, but let him unwind. Let him grasp where he's at and what's going on. Don't put on all that pressure of pay attention to me, look at me. Let him figure it out. Think about if we're in a new environment and we're not sure or we're overstimulated. We might not be able to focus as we normally would. We need to kind of figure it out. Number 6, socializing and interaction. Whether that's dogs or people or a combination of both, opening his doggy world to new people and new dogs can always be beneficial. So get out there and mingle. And again, I'm not referring to that doggy daycare. I think it needs to be you and him, and you making sure that everything's going well, that the interactions are good, and that your dog is happy. And what does that do? It makes you valuable because you provided these things for him. And finally, number 7, affection and touch, baby. Connect with him. Just get down there with him, talk to him, touch him, tell him how smart he is, that you're really proud of everything that he's accomplished throughout the day. It's also a good time to check for lumps and bumps. You can start at the top of his head, work your way down while you're saying, oh, you're so handsome. I love the way your ears feel. And you can look, how are we? What's he look like? Is he healthy? Is there anything new that I need to be worried about? All this is continuing that bond between you and your dog. And I'll tell you what, when we actually do that with our dogs, I don't only think it's beneficial to our dogs, but I think it's really beneficial to us because I think that gives us an opportunity to connect to them And when we get frustrated and feel like, oh, they're not listening, this is too hard, I think that really helps us reconnect and say, that's right. This is why I'm in it. This is why I practice. This is why I spend the time that I do with my dog, because of this. I think it helps us have more patience and more tolerance for them. They're a different creature. Just like us too, they're going to make mistakes. They're going to be distracted. Things are going to be hard. They're going to have good days and they're going to have bad days. But when it comes down to it, they're there for us and we need to be there for them. And with the 7 items on this checklist, if you look at the items and the things that I'm suggesting, some of them can be doubled up. So if you're going on your adventure, you can also work on your socialization, your training, even your connecting, and of course that sniffing. So if I offered you a few tips that you find useful, please give me a thumbs up. Don't forget you can subscribe to my channel, and if you click the bell icon, you'll be notified every time I upload a new video. And if you want to dive deeper into your dog's behavior, training, and care, you can check out my private Patreon page, the link's below. And until next time, remember to pause and enjoy your dog.